In life, there are two types of people: those who talk about what they're going to do, and those who simply do it. The ones who speak the loudest often have the least to show. But the ones who quietly discipline themselves, who show up day after day, who put in the hours when no one is watching, those are the people who eventually let their results speak on their behalf. Staying low doesn't mean you lack ambition. It means you don't waste your energy broadcasting every plan and every move. It means you respect the process more than the applause. When you are still unseen, you are being shaped, molded, and prepared. Every hour of study, every repetition, every sacrifice, it all stacks up in silence. Working hard is the great equalizer. You may not have the same resources, the same opportunities, or the same talent as someone else, but if you are willing to work harder, if you are willing to persist when others quit, you will bridge the gap. The marketplace rewards diligence, consistency, and excellence. It does not reward excuses. And then comes success. True success doesn't need a microphone. It doesn't need you to shout your accomplishments from the rooftops. It carries its own echo. The doors that open, the respect that follows, the opportunities that chase you. These are the sounds of success. People can debate your words, but they cannot debate your results. So, stay low, build quietly, protect your energy, put your head down and do the work. Because when success finally arrives, it will make all the noise you'll ever need. Discipline speaks louder than announcements. Anyone can say what they're going to do. Anyone can make big claims, bold promises, and loud declarations. But words are easy and words cost nothing. Discipline, on the other hand, is what separates the dreamers from the doers. It is the quiet force that proves commitment without the need for constant announcements. When a person has discipline, they don't need to convince others of their intentions. Their actions will tell the story. Discipline shows up early. It stays late. It repeats the same effort over and over, long after the excitement of starting has faded. Announcements create a momentary spark, but discipline keeps the fire burning day after day, year after year. You see, the world doesn't respond to what you say you're going to do. It responds to what you actually do. And what you do consistently is the truest indicator of who you are becoming. Anyone can declare, "I'll get in shape." But discipline is the early morning jog when the bed feels too comfortable. Anyone can announce, "I'll build a business." But discipline is the late nights, the difficult calls, the refusal to quit when rejection shows up. Announcements are cheap. Discipline is priceless. Discipline speaks because it leaves evidence. The results you accumulate over time are the proof of your consistency. You don't have to tell people you're committed. They can see it in your work. You don't have to announce that you're focused. Your results will reveal it. In fact, the more disciplined you become, the less you feel the urge to announce anything at all. You learn to trust the process, and you learn that the work will eventually speak for itself. There's a danger in relying on announcements. When you talk too much about what you're going to do, you may trick yourself into believing you've already done something. Talking feels like progress, but it isn't. It may even drain the energy that should have gone into action. Discipline is different. Discipline saves the energy. It directs it toward the task. It builds, it creates, it shapes, without needing validation along the way. Think about the great achievements of history. Most of them weren't born from loud proclamations, but from years of unseen effort. The inventor in the workshop, the writer filling page after page in solitude, the athlete running miles when no one is cheering. These are the disciplines that eventually produce the announcement worth making, success itself. By the time the world notices, the work has already been done, the habits already formed, the price already paid. Discipline also carries integrity. Announcements can be exaggerated. They can be inflated beyond reality. But discipline is honest. It tells the truth about your priorities. If you discipline yourself to study, to practice, to invest in your growth, the evidence is undeniable. If you lack discipline, the absence is just as clear. No amount of words can cover it up for long. Another thing to remember is that discipline compounds. A single act of discipline might look small, even invisible to others. But repeated over time, discipline builds momentum. It creates character, and it creates results that no announcement can match. A person who disciplines themselves daily will, sooner or later, stand out in ways that words could never achieve. That's why you don't need to worry about who notices right now. Just keep at it. There's a saying that success whispers at first, but over time it becomes impossible to ignore. That's how discipline works. It doesn't look impressive in the beginning. No one applauds you for skipping dessert, for saving money instead of spending it, or for staying in to study instead of going out. But years later, when you have health, wealth, and wisdom, those same people will wonder how you did it. And the answer will always be discipline. So, if you want to impress, don't do it with words. Do it with consistency. Don't announce what you're going to do. Prove it with your habits. Let your effort become the loudest announcement of all. Because in the end, the quiet worker who disciplines himself will always outlast the loud talker who never follows through. Discipline speaks louder than announcements because it doesn't just talk. It delivers. It proves. It leaves a trail of results that no one can deny. And when you let your discipline do the talking, your life becomes the announcement. Silence is strength when you're building. In the early stages of any dream, it's tempting to talk about it. It's tempting to tell people what you're planning, what you're envisioning, and where you're going. It feels good to share, to announce, to explain. But here's the truth: silence has a power of its own. It protects you. It shields your focus. It allows your energy to stay where it belongs, on the work itself, not on the opinions of others. When you choose silence, you choose strength. You're no longer dependent on approval or applause to keep moving forward. You understand that talking about something is not the same as building it. Words can distract. They can weaken the drive to execute. But silence is discipline. It's a commitment to let your actions carry the weight of your intentions. Think about a seed buried in the soil. It does its work in silence. It pushes roots deep where no one can see. It absorbs nutrients. It grows in darkness long before it breaks through the surface. If that seed made noise every day, it would draw attention too soon. But its strength lies in the quiet growth beneath the soil. And one day, without any announcement, it breaks through, strong and undeniable. That's how your dreams grow, silently at first, hidden but powerful. Silence also keeps you from unnecessary interference. When you share too much too early, you open yourself to criticism, doubt, and distraction. People may not understand your vision. They may discourage you or even mock you. But when you remain silent, you protect your dream from being trampled before it has a chance to grow. Not every idea can survive public opinion in its fragile beginnings. Silence gives it the space to develop until it's strong enough to stand on its own. And silence is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's the wisdom of knowing that builders don't waste energy talking while they're laying bricks. The builder's strength is in steady work, brick by brick, day after day. And when the building is finished, it speaks for itself. The people who laughed in the beginning now stand in awe, not because of what you said, but because of what you created. Silence also strengthens the builder. When you work quietly, you develop inner confidence. You learn to trust yourself without constant validation. You learn to find motivation from within instead of relying on the noise around you. That kind of strength can't be taken away because it's not built on applause. It's built on discipline, persistence, and quiet resilience. Consider how silence sharpens focus. Without the distraction of talking too much, you can pour every ounce of energy into the task. Your time isn't spent explaining, it's spent executing. And execution is what separates the dreamers from the achievers. A dream shared loudly but never worked on is nothing more than a wish. A dream worked on silently becomes a reality. Silence also humbles you. It reminds you that greatness doesn't need to be broadcast in the making. It needs to be built. And when it is built, it won't need explanation. The results will be obvious. Success has a volume of its own, and it grows louder than any words ever could. You don't need to tell people how hard you're working. They'll see it in the results. You don't need to announce how focused you are. The fruits of your labor will reveal it. When the doors open, when the opportunities come, when the rewards arrive, that will be the sound of your silent effort echoing loudly across your life. So, choose silence. Let it be your strength. Build in quiet, away from unnecessary noise and distraction. Focus on the process and allow your work to mature before you present it to the world. Because silence is not the absence of progress. It is the soil in which progress takes root. And one day, when your results stand tall, you won't need to explain a thing. The strength of your silence will have already said it all. Work done in private produces rewards in public. That is a principle as old as time. The hours you invest when no one is watching, the effort you give without applause, the discipline you practice away from the spotlight. Those are the very things that determine what the world will eventually see. Success is never built in the moment of recognition. It is built in the hidden hours, in the quiet sacrifices that no one else notices. Think about the athlete. The victory on the field, the medal on the podium, the roar of the crowd. Those are the rewards the world sees. But the truth is, the real work was done long before the competition. It was done on early mornings when the gym was empty, in the sweat poured out during training, in the lonely hours of pushing through pain when quitting seemed easier. The reward came later, but it was purchased in private. Or consider the musician. The performance on stage may last only an hour, but the skill displayed is the product of thousands of hours spent practicing scales, refining technique, and repeating mistakes until they turned into mastery. The world claps for the performance, but the preparation happened behind closed doors. That's how life works. Public rewards are nothing more than the echo of private work. There is something powerful about working in private. It teaches you to value the process more than the praise. It develops humility because you realize the real joy comes not from showing off, but from building something that matters. It strengthens character because you're not driven by the approval of others. You're driven by a vision of what you could become if you keep showing up. Many people want the rewards without the private work. They want the applause without the preparation. But it doesn't work that way. You can fool people with words for a while, but results can't be faked. They come only from the discipline of doing what needs to be done when no one is keeping score. The student who stays up late to study will reap the benefit when the grades are announced. The professional who keeps learning after hours will rise when opportunities appear. The entrepreneur who toils in silence will one day build something that speaks for itself. The danger of neglecting private work is that when the moment of opportunity arrives, you won't be ready. Life often tests us in public, but it prepares us in private. If you don't invest in preparation, the test will expose you. On the other hand, if you have prepared in silence, the test will confirm you. The applause will come not because you asked for it, but because you earned it. Private work also has a compounding effect. Small, consistent efforts may seem invisible at first, but over time they accumulate into something undeniable. No one may notice the first brick you lay, but when the building is finished, they'll see the structure standing tall. That's how progress feels. Day to day, it's hidden. But year after year, it becomes visible to everyone. There's also a beauty in private work that the public never sees. It's in the struggle of pushing yourself beyond yesterday's limits. It's in the satisfaction of finishing something no one asked you to do. It's in the quiet pride of knowing you stayed true to your vision when it would have been easier to stop. Those private victories build a foundation strong enough to hold the weight of future rewards. And when the rewards come, they carry a different kind of weight. They aren't shallow or temporary. They're lasting because they're built on discipline. People may admire the results, but you'll know the real story, that every ounce of recognition was bought with hours of unseen work. That knowledge gives you confidence because you know you can do it again. So remember, the real work is not done under the lights. It's done in the shadows where no one is clapping. It's done in private where you wrestle with doubt, discipline, and determination. Don't despise those moments. Embrace them because they are the birthplace of your future rewards. One day your effort will be noticed. One day the doors will open and the rewards will arrive. And when they do, you won't need to explain how it happened. The world will see the fruit, even if they never saw the seed. That's the power of working in private. The reward eventually speaks for itself. Success doesn't need promotion. It creates recognition on its own. When something is real, it doesn't need to be advertised. A tree that bears fruit doesn't stand in the field shouting about its harvest. It simply grows and people notice. In the same way, true success carries its own voice. It doesn't beg for attention and it doesn't chase approval. It stands tall and the results speak louder than anything words could say. Promotion often comes from insecurity. When people constantly talk about how successful they are, it's usually because they're trying to convince themselves or others that it's true. But when success is genuine, there is no need to announce it. Recognition arrives naturally because results can't be hidden. They shine through in the quality of your work, in the stability of your life, in the respect you earn without asking for it. Think of the farmer. He doesn't run around telling everyone what kind of crop he will have. He simply works the field, plants the seed, and tends the soil. When harvest season comes, the abundance is obvious. People don't need to be persuaded. It's right there in plain sight. The same applies to your life. If you keep sowing the right seeds, nurturing them with consistency, and waiting with patience, the harvest will come. And when it does, no promotion will be necessary. Success has a unique quality it attracts. Opportunities are drawn to it. People respect it. Doors open because of it. That's why it doesn't need self-promotion. If you focus too much on trying to promote yourself, you may neglect the work that actually creates the results. But if you focus on building something of real value, recognition will come on its own. It may take longer than you expect, but when it arrives, it will carry a weight that no amount of self-promotion could ever produce. Recognition born out of success also lasts longer. When you promote yourself without substance, People eventually lose interest. They see through the exaggeration. But when success is real, it speaks consistently. It continues to show up. It continues to prove itself. That kind of recognition cannot be taken away because it's built on something solid: results. Another thing to remember is that success carries humility. It doesn't need to boast because it knows the price that was paid to get there. The late nights, the failures, the sacrifices, those don't need to be broadcast, but they give depth to the achievement. And when you've paid the price, you no longer crave constant validation. You know what you've built, and you let it stand as the proof. Success also has a way of finding its own stage. You don't have to push yourself onto every platform or demand attention. If you're good enough, consistent enough, and disciplined enough, the right people will notice. Opportunities will come to you instead of you chasing them. That's why the best strategy is to focus less on promotion and more on preparation. Be ready when the recognition arrives, because it will. And here's the beautiful thing: when recognition comes from success itself, it inspires others. People look at your life and think, if they can do it, maybe I can too. Your story becomes a message without you ever having to preach it. That's the kind of influence that lasts. It doesn't come from hype. It comes from example. So don't waste energy trying to make people notice you. Spend that energy on building something worth noticing. Pour yourself into your craft, into your discipline, into your vision. Be patient with the process. Stay consistent when no one is clapping. And trust that when the time is right, your success will speak. Because at the end of the day, success doesn't need promotion. It doesn't need you to shout. It doesn't need you to convince anyone. It creates recognition all on its own. And when it does, that recognition will be undeniable, unstoppable, and unforgettable. Energy wasted on showing off could be invested in growing. One of the greatest mistakes people make is spending their precious energy on appearances rather than progress. They want to look successful before they have truly become successful. They want recognition without substance. But the truth is, every bit of energy you spend on impressing others is energy stolen from your own growth. And growth is the only thing that guarantees lasting success. Showing off feels good in the moment. It gives a quick rush of attention, a burst of validation, a temporary sense of importance. But it doesn't build anything. It doesn't add to your skill, your discipline, or your future. It's like spending money on fireworks. Bright for a moment, but gone in seconds, leaving you with nothing. Growth, on the other hand, is like investing. It multiplies. It compounds. It builds a foundation that no one can take away. Think of a student who spends time trying to look smart instead of actually studying. They may impress a few people with words, but when the test comes, reality is exposed. The same happens in life. The test always comes. And when it does, the hours you wasted trying to impress will leave you unprepared. But the hours you invested in growing will reward you with confidence and results. Growth takes humility. It means admitting you're not there yet. It means focusing on learning instead of showing. It means putting your head down while others are busy looking around. Showing off is loud. Growth is quiet. Showing off seeks attention. Growth seeks improvement. And over time, growth always wins because results outlast applause. Every day, you are given a limited amount of energy. The question is, where will you put it? Into building yourself, your skills, your knowledge, your discipline, or into building an image you hope others will admire. One pays long-term dividends. The other fades the moment people stop watching. The irony is that real growth eventually produces the recognition people chase by showing off. If you keep learning, if you keep building, if you keep growing, success will draw attention on its own. You won't have to flaunt it. People will see it in the way you carry yourself, in the results you produce, and in the opportunities that follow you. But if you chase recognition first, you'll have nothing solid to show when the spotlight moves on. Growth requires patience. It doesn't always feel glamorous. Sometimes it looks like long nights of study or hours of practice when no one claps. It looks like sacrifice, choosing to invest instead of spend, choosing discipline instead of comfort. But every one of those decisions adds up. Every choice to grow strengthens your foundation. And one day, when the time is right, the world will notice. Not because you showed off, but because you grew. Showing off also puts you in competition with others. Growth keeps you in competition with yourself. Showing off makes you compare, measure, and seek approval. Growth makes you focus inward, asking onlys, am I better than I was yesterday? That mindset produces real progress, while the other only produces stress and insecurity. And here's the hidden danger of showing off: it can trap you. Once you start, you feel the need to keep up appearances. You begin making choices to protect your image rather than build your future. But when you choose growth, you're free. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. You're working for your vision, your goals, your purpose. And in time, that will create a life far greater than anything showing off could produce. So use your energy wisely. Don't waste it on appearances. Don't burn it on trying to impress. Invest it in becoming more skilled, more disciplined, more knowledgeable, more valuable. Because when you grow, you won't need to show off. Your results will be your proof. Your life will be your message. And the beautiful part, growth doesn't fade. It stays with you. It becomes part of who you are. While showing off leaves you empty, growth fills you with strength and confidence. That's why energy wasted on showing off is truly a loss. But energy invested in growing will always return with interest.